I played over 200 days of the new Fields of Mistria update, and here's what happened. Hi everyone, my name is Sav, and welcome to the Harvest Hub. In this 2-hour-long movie, we're gonna explore Mistria's third major update that dropped in July this year, including new festivals, additional requests, museum rewards, new hard events, home upgrades, a dating mechanic, and so much more. When I started recording this a few weeks ago, I went into this blind. I had no idea what any of the patch notes said, however I did know that they implemented a greenhouse. That's the only thing I saw on the official Twitter page. So that was the only major goal for now, get a greenhouse. That's it for my intro, so without further ado, sit back, relax, maybe grab a snack, and enjoy the video. We start our adventure on the first Monday of spring in year 2. And yes, I am of course continuing this on my 100 days save file, which I'm gonna leave linked down below. It's been quite a while since I played this game, so the first couple of minutes were spent figuring out the controls again, and getting acquainted with one of the new settings they added, daytime speed. As the name suggests, we are now allowed to modify the in-game day cycle, and I set mine to longer days because I do think that the days were a little bit too short before. When checking my mailbox, I had 2 letters waiting for me, one from Adeline informing me about so-called crown requests and a shopping invitation from Reina. I headed into town to take a look at the request board where the first crown request was already posted. These are unlocked after reaching Sapphire Town rank, and they are usually a bit more tricky to fulfill than the average posted request from the townies, but completing any of the crown requests rewards you with a buttload of renown and a guaranteed golden treasure chest, so they are definitely worth doing. Being the very first day of spring, I of course wanted to buy some seeds from the store. Before I could do that, however, I had to help Reina pick out some ingredients for her new cooking recipe. She wants to make something really special for the judges she's trying to impress, and we ended up with a few local ingredients, which she used to make dragonhorn mushroom with thyme. After the cutscene, I made my way to the store again, where I ended up buying strawberry, pea, potato, carrot, and a few flower seeds. I planted them back at the farm and immediately got tired of watering them by hand, so I used my rain spell, even though my animals were still outside. I'm sure they won't mind. I wanted to spend the rest of my day down in the mines, but upon descending to floor 60, where I left off last time, I was stopped by the Dragon Priestess. She told me in order to proceed, I need to break the fire seal, and same as with the other previous levels, this required me to donate 4 items. I cannot understand what is written on the tablet she gave to me, so I had to make a detour over to the bathhouse since Juniper is the only one who can translate it. The first 3 items seemed relatively easy to get, or so I thought at first, being a faceted rock gem, rock root, and an emerald. But the 4th item is rather unusual according to her, that being a sealing scroll. She tells me that these are incredibly rare, and even worse, extremely dangerous. Not exactly what I wanted to hear, but it's not like I have a choice either. I need all 4 of those items if I want to progress in the mines. If anyone in Mistria knows anything about the whereabouts on a sealing scroll, it had to be Baylor. So we paid him a visit, and he offered to track down a seller for us. He did warn us beforehand that it's going to be pricey, but again, not like I get a say in this anyways. He'll notify us when he has a lead. I headed back home where I checked all of my chests for the remaining 3 items that I needed. The rock root and emerald I already had, but the rock gem unfortunately not. Thankfully I did already find this mineral before, and according to the in-game description, this is an uncommon find. So I thought, okay, surely this cannot take that long to track down again, right? For now I went to bed since the day was basically over, and I started my search the following morning. Before doing that, I unlocked the legendary perk for fishing, which enables legendary fish spawns when season and weather conditions are right. One of the many new additions in the new update was that they reworked the enemies in the mines, meaning that they now have more unique attack patterns. I don't see anyone talking about this, and I don't understand why. It's such a minor change, but it makes such a huge difference as it makes the combat experience so much more unique and fun. Jump scare. Oh. Okay, dude. Don't look at me like that. God, he's crazy. I had no luck with the rock gem that day, however, Baylor already informed me about a lead on our special order. I wasted no time at all and immediately paid him a visit where he told me that I will have to pay in untraceable ingots and gemstones. Oh boy. I need exactly 10 silver ingots, 10 rubies, 10 sapphires, and emeralds. Well, I mean, he did say that it wouldn't be cheap. I had to lay 1 emerald aside for the fire seal, which leaves me with 9 left, 8 sapphires, and only 3 rubies. The to-do list is growing. I smelted some of the silver bars at the blacksmith, then visited the Eastern Road for the first time this year because I wanted to check out the entrance to the deep woods. This is something that I've been wondering about since last year. Back then you could already see the area on the map, but it was not implemented at that time. Stairs to the deep woods are covered in giant impassable vines. What is this? Elden Ring? Yep, still inaccessible to me. While I was in the area, I stopped by the wishing well where I dumped in 500 gold, and this was so worth it as it gave me 2 sapphires in return, which was exactly what I needed. On Thursday I handed Reese some hardwood for his birthday, because who doesn't love a giant chunk of logs? Then spent the entire morning looking for fiddlehead fern. This was the only forage that I was missing for the spring collection. Alas, I didn't find it. And then I was back in the mines for the rest of the day looking for that rock gem, which I also didn't find. And well, let's just jump over to Saturday, where I remembered that Baylor actually has a chance of selling gems at his traveling cart. And luckily for me, he had rubies for sale that day. I purchased 3 of those, and with that I now had all of the 10 gems that I needed. I smelted the remaining silver bars and donated everything to the box next to his wagon. The only thing that I was missing now was the rock gem, so back to the mines I went, and on my way there I stumbled upon the fiddlehead fern. Donated it to the museum, which rewarded me with a spring flooring and wallpaper. I spent the remainder of Saturday in the mines, and I'm not gonna mention this anymore until I actually find the freaking rock. As promised, I had Baylor outside my door on Sunday morning, delivering the oh-so-precious sealing scroll. Same as Juniper, he warned me to be cautious with it, and I quote, to not open this under any circumstances. I was still completely clueless on why I even needed this item in the first place, so I told him not to worry about me. I'm sure I'll be fine. I had my first strawberry and pea harvest, which I immediately placed into the shipping bin since I still had the crown request from Adeline where I needed to ship 30 of any crops. And upon going to bed that day, I had a very strange dream. Oh my god, I turned off the recording for 1 second. You dream of a familiar presence. You concentrate and an image begins to form. What? Wait, I can have a pet? Yes, you can indeed have your own dog or cat in this game. I ended up with the white and grey spotted design for the dog, and I named her Emma. Same as in my time at Sandrock, pets don't just look adorable, they can also help you collect a variety of items, like wood, stone, and even forage. The more hearts you have with them, the more items they can collect. Pet. Pick up? Oh yeah, this is the best mechanic. I visited Hayden's farm right after that, where I purchased a pet bowl and rug for Emma, which I of course placed inside my house. At the request board, I accepted my second crown request. For this, I had to ship 6 dining tables and 12 dining chairs of any kind. Spent the remaining morning handing out gifts to the townies, then I was once again back in the mines. I had a good chunk of essence saved up at this point, which I used to unlock the rest of the tier 3 perks in mining and 1 for combat. And today, it finally happened. Oh my god, no way. Ah, finally! An uncommon artifact, indeed. I guess I should consider myself lucky, because I've seen posts online where people say it took them an entire in-game month to track this down again, so I really can't complain. With all of the items in my possession now, I descended down to level 60 and put them on the pedestals. Upon donating the last one, the Dragon Priestess appeared before me again and thanked me for all of my work. Our conversation was cut short when suddenly the sealing scroll unfolded itself and the entire cave system began to crumble. The priestess told me to quickly flee or else I'll be sealed as well. Now my personal headcanon is that the priestess used a sealing scroll herself a long time ago and now she's just forever trapped inside the mines. There's very little we know about her for now, but something tells me that she's not as innocent as she appears to be. Anyways, I immediately tried to skedaddle out of the cave, but I was too slow and trapped by the scroll. My stamina and health was drained within seconds, and the only options I had left was to call for help and I guess do nothing, which was basically the same. Surprisingly, calling out for help did actually work, and now we get to experience one of my favorite cutscenes in the entire game. Caldarus was able to hear my voice, I don't know how, I guess dragons can just do that, and he knew I was in great danger. Within a heartbeat, he granted me his most powerful spell, Dragon's Breath, so that I can destroy the sealing scroll. Unfortunately for both of us, it was too late for me. Classic damsel in distress, arrow to the knee, unconscious, fading away, and slowly dying. Caldarus was still weak himself, but in order to save me, he had no other choice, and just like that, he transformed himself into a human. I think? Can he be considered a human? I mean, he still has his spiky horns and tail, so I guess kind of? I am asking all of the important questions right now. With the last bit of energy he had left, he managed to destroy the sealing scroll and I was able to regain consciousness. Now that I'm awake again, Caldarus told me that he will retreat to his temple in the deep woods, and with my new spell I can clear the way and join him there as well. I wasted no time at all and immediately headed over to the stone stairway as I was eager to check out a new area. I used the Dragon's Breath, which made quick work of the impassable vines, and now I have access to the deep woods. At the very end of it lies Caldarus' temple, where I found him resting on his bed. So Caldarus is one of two special romance candidates in this game. It's him and then, spoiler, the dragon priestess we keep seeing in the mines. In the current version of the game, out of the two, it's only him you can befriend and talk to, so I'm already super excited to finally learn more about the priestess lady. But anyways, Caldarus used up all his strength to transform into a human, so for now this is permanent. I thanked him for saving me, and while he takes a little dragon nap, I was busy with exploring the forest. Here I can find new forage, fish, insects, and a ton of hardwood, which I don't really care about right now, but later on we're gonna need a lot of that, trust me. After I ran out of energy, I donated all the new finds from today to the museum and already finished the Deep Woods forage set. On my way to the farm, I stopped next to Errol's house because I remember seeing this blocked off path on the Dragon's Breath tutorial. I had just enough mana points left to use it once again, and this opened up a tiny cave entrance where inside a golden treasure chest was waiting for me. From this I got an animal sprite statue and the crafting recipe for one. Basically it's an auto-petter, although you do need an essence stone in order to charge these, so they don't work infinitely. I got a small essence stone from the chest as well, which can charge the statue for 5 in-game days. I can find more of these stones from mine treasure chests and even craft my own by using the stone refinery, which I haven't unlocked yet, but we'll get to that in a bit. At first I wanted to place the statue inside my barn, but this is a medium-sized building and you can only use the animal statues in large barns and coops. For some reason I really wanted to use this on the barn, so this was my next goal. Thanks to all of the items I sold that day, I made over 4,000 gold and we reached town level 52. It was Ulrich's birthday on Wednesday, and if you know anything about Ulrich, then you know this guy loves rocks. I don't know what it is with developers and creating men that have an obsession with rocks. That seems to be rather popular lately. Now I was absolutely convinced that he would enjoy one of my many really round rocks. I mean, he literally asked for one earlier for a request. But alas, it wasn't even a liked item. Can't please everyone, I suppose. After this failure, I paid the carpenter a visit, where I accidentally purchased a large coop instead of a large barn. I already had a large coop. Once I was back on the farm, I realized my mistake. Wait. We're restarting the day. I don't care. I really don't like resetting days, but I spent 6,000 gold on that. That's a lot of money. On the plus side, I was able to hand Ulrich another birthday present. This time it was more successful, and I made sure to buy the right building. I put my animals into Hayden's daycare, removed the medium barn, placed down the new one, and put in the animal statue along with the essence stone. I had no other plans for that day, so I decided to check up on Caldaros, and for some reason I thought it was a really good idea to gift him this random dragon statue I found a while ago, and he absolutely hated it, and I don't even blame him. I would react the same way if someone handed me an old, dirt-covered artifact. Funnily enough, I learned a few days later that this is in fact the only registered hated item for him, according to the wiki at least. Like, really? What are the odds that I give this man the only item that he hates? Just my luck, I guess. He didn't seem too upset though, because he let me know that I can use the shrine inside his temple to fast travel back and forth between my farm and the deep woods. I do have to pay a tiny amount of essence every time I use it, which I wasn't too thrilled about. Still, the ability to fast travel is always nice to have. While in the area, I caught my first deep woods fish, being a muskie, and after a bit of time, I managed to catch a goldfish by the pond, finishing the spring pondfish set. Thursday started off with delivering one ultimate small animal feed to Hayden, trying to catch a tuna for Dorithia, which I didn't find of course, but I did manage to catch a mackerel, completing yet another museum set. Then I had a look at Adeline's crown request, where she wants me to ship dining tables and chairs. At this point in the game, I had barely touched woodcrafting before. As you can see, I was only sitting at level 17, so my options were slim. No matter what I ended up making, I needed more wood and cattail fluff, so most of the day was spent collecting materials. I did make one basic table and chair later and shipped those off to see if they actually counted towards the request. And thankfully, they did indeed count towards the objective. I crafted another 5 tables, however, for the remaining chairs I needed something called sap, which at that point was only available from enemies in the mines. I shipped off 2 random chairs I had in my chests, and then I was busy in the mines, farming for that sap. I ended up leaving after 6 PM because it was a Friday, meaning that every single townie is hanging out at the tavern today. Sadly, there was nothing new for me there. In case you don't know what I'm talking about, in the first year of the game, you can visit the Sleeping Dragon Inn every Friday where you can interact with the townies, and they all have their own little storylines which you can follow along throughout the different seasons. Like for example, during summer last year, Hemlock was making new recipes for the bar, Adeline, Celine, Holt and Errol were testing the samples, and I myself also got a free drink every time I chatted with them. I understand that this is a lot of work, but I really hope they're gonna implement more of these because I genuinely enjoyed chatting with all of the different groups. It was something that I always looked forward to every week. Back at my farm, I crafted another 7 basic chairs and unlocked the wind down perk in ranching, bringing down the meal time for all recipes by another 10 minutes. On 125, I was in the mood for a little shopping. I purchased any remaining cooking recipes from Darcy's stall, 3 haunted attic chairs from Mary, and also 1 chocolate cake, which I gifted to Caldaros. I turned off the recording a bit too soon before, but I got a message when heading to bed the previous day that a legendary fish is nearby. Legendary fish will only appear once you unlock the required skill, and I didn't like this at first, but now that I played through the whole year, I'm actually a huge fan of this system. This gives you a guaranteed day where you can look for that one seasonal fish, and if you happen to be unlucky and not find it during that time, you can just reset the day and try again. The legendary springfish will only spawn in a pond, and after a bit of time, I caught it, the cherryfish. I donated it to the museum along with 1 artifact I found while I was in the deep woods, and lastly I traded in all of my shiny beads over at the chicken statue where I got my first 2 accessories for Emma, 1 pink bow and a halo. That one's difficult. Pink bow or the halo? Nah, the halo. Oh my god, Emma, you look so fancy. Yes. This is what this game is about. Animal cosmetics. I had Celine stop by on this rainy Sunday morning, informing me about the upcoming Spring Festival. She wants me to gather so-called Breath of the Spring flowers, which I use to beautify the event. These can be found by doing various activities around town, and the more I collect, the better the festival will be. Before going on the hunt, I talked with Adeline to turn in my very first crown request. This rewarded me with a lot of renown, and from the gold treasure chest I got a strawberry shortcake, which I handed over to Ayland since this is a loved item for him. With that out of the way, I began my search for the Breath of the Spring flowers. Now, I got in 2nd place last time, so of course I was determined to make it to the top spot this year, and by far the best way to collect these is by breaking stones in the mines. I was very excited about this because now that the fire seal was broken, I was allowed to explore brand new territory. But upon descending to floor 61, I had a message pop up on the screen telling me in order to traverse the lava, I need my watering can. You can also use the rain spell, but I feel like that's kind of a waste. Excuse me? What is that? Oh my god, you're so cute, I don't want to kill you. Ah! Never mind. Now that I had my watering can with me, I was ready for spelunking. Thankfully, not every single floor has lava, and the ones that have regular water contain new types of fish, like this lava piranha. I found my first gold ore, diamonds, a bunch of new forage and artifacts, but by far the best item that I got down here was the lava cat hat, which is just so adorable. By the end of the day, I managed to collect over 20 Breath of the Spring, and thanks to the crown request I finished, reached town rank 54. And speaking about crown requests, since I shipped off those attic chairs yesterday, I was able to finish another one today. Adeline simply cannot give me a break because she already posted another one on the request board. This time it's for 30 mine forageables, but I ignored this for now and continued exploring the lava caves. I was very lucky this time and immediately found a treasure floor which granted me my first obsidian furniture piece, an obsidian bed. Besides the bed, I got my hands on 2 new insects, artifacts, forage and a cute looking crab. I had a good amount of essence to spend and unlocked the Magical Meals tier 4 perk in cooking, where a 4-star dish and above has a chance to get a bonus mana infusion, which sounds absolutely OP, but unfortunately I never got a mana infused dish. Not once, throughout the entire year. I smelted my first gold bars the following day, one of which I handed over to March, as it was his big day, bumping me up to 5 hearts with him, and then I made myself a gold pick and sword. I had 1 day left to collect more Breath of the Spring, so I was back again in the mines for the rest of the day. A gold treasure chest rewarded me with a mana potion and a lava rock wall, another one with tarnished gold greaves, which I swapped out with the copper ones that I was still wearing, and upon donating all of my finds to the museum, I managed to complete the lava cave insect collection. Waking up on Wednesday morning, I managed to collect exactly 88 Breath of the Spring flowers, which I handed over to Celine shortly after. Before going to the festival, I had an exciting letter to read from Adeline, telling me to meet me at the mine entrance when I had the time, starting the quest for the stone refinery. Everyone was already waiting for me at the event, and we wasted no time at all and immediately started the ceremony to announce the 3 winners who collected the most Breath of the Spring flowers. Errol came in 3rd place, Celine in 2nd, and yours truly took the number 1 spot. Well deserved in my opinion. For winning 1st place, I got a few decorations and a flower crown, which I absolutely adore. At the festival store, I purchased 2 Breath of the Spring storage chests. These are quite pricey, but so worth the money as they have a lot more storage capacity than the regular wooden chests that I've been using. Oh my god, I look so adorable with my new outfit on Mistmare. Later that day, I made my way over to the mine entrance where I met up with Adeline, Errol and Ulrich. Now that Mistria is sitting at Sapphire Town rank, the king himself offered us an opportunity to receive his so-called stone refinery. Errol explained to us that the stone refinery is the kingdom's newest technology, and apparently it can convert stone into many other useful materials. Now we only need a suitable spot for it, and Ulrich suggested to dig out a smaller room next to the mine elevator. However, before we can start the construction, we of course need a bunch of materials. 200 pieces of wood, 400 stone, 20 sap, and 5,000 tesserae to be precise. I was very excited to get my hands on that stone refinery, so I spent the entire following day gathering materials, specifically wood and sap. In the evening I dropped everything off at the donation box and then had a chat with Adeline to get started on the new room. Together with Ulrich and Errol we got to work, and within a blink of an eye the room was done, and in the middle of which sits the brand new stone refinery. The ominous looking structure behind the refinery is another fast travel point. The stone refinery is absolutely essential for late game crafting. Here I can make essence stones, which again I need for the animal statue and something else later on. The refined stone is used in a lot of high level crafting recipes and late game upgrades, and as Errol mentioned before, you can convert stone into other useful materials like wood, hay and even gems. I wanted to get my hands on a second animal statue for the coop. Unfortunately, I didn't have enough levels in woodcrafting, so that'll have to wait. I did try to make a few random items at the workbench to pump up my level, but it wasn't enough. On 131, I learned that you can craft oak and pine saplings over at the mill, handed Caldarus another gift, and then I was mostly occupied chopping hardwood at the deep woods. I caught a silver red horse by the pond, and lastly made a few cooked dishes over at the inn. At the Saturday market, I purchased more crafting recipes from Mary. I hoped that these would help me level my woodcrafting skill, but upon returning to the farm, I realized I couldn't even make a single one out of the new recipes that I bought, so that was a bit of a waste. I unlocked the farmer skill in archaeology, which enables a dig site to appear on my farm every day that has a new set of artifacts for me to collect, handed Luke a birthday present, finished a request for Juniper, and then I made my way down to the beach, because I remember from the first year when I played, there was another blocked off door where I can use the Dragon Breath on. Right next to the lighthouse is a smaller area where I successfully used the spell, and inside was another golden treasure chest. The loot that I got was a water sprite statue along with the crafting recipe. And yes, this is indeed a sprinkler. And I'm so glad that I remembered this spot because you can play through the entire game multiple years without ever finding this, and you need to unlock the treasure chest in order to obtain the recipe for the sprinkler. Same as the animal statues, these need to be charged with essence stones in order to work. And because this is the best game ever made, there is a radius that shows you exactly how many tiles the sprinkler covers. Thank God, because I already forgot what the tutorial told me 5 seconds ago. Since summer was right around the corner, I was holding off with placing the sprinklers for now and decided to just redo my field once the season changes. I paid a visit to Caldarus later, handing him a gift, and if it's not obvious by now, yes, I am romancing the dragon. Don't judge me, okay? 134 to 35 was super uneventful. I accepted another crown request where I had to ship 40 fish of any kind and already finished that request the very next day as I just had so many fish stored in my chests. I spent most of my time down in the mines both on Monday and Tuesday since I had this other crown request where I needed to ship 30 mine forageables, and while doing that made it all the way down to floor 80. The dragon priestess showed up again and told me to come back later again, since this is as far as you can go in the current version of the game. I was a little disappointed at first, but then again Fields of Mistria is still in early access after all, which is something I keep forgetting about simply because there's already so much to do in this game. Besides unlocking the last checkpoint in the mines, I also found a medium and even a large essence stone while spelunking, so that's pretty handy. Wednesday was spent entirely on the farm, cleaning up debris, placing more fences around the animal area, and trying to level up my woodcrafting skill. This finally pumped me up to level 20, which is exactly what I wanted, so now I can craft more animal statues and sprinklers. Thursday was a very special occasion as it was Caldarus' birthday, and obviously I couldn't miss out on that. I purchased 1 Mont Blanc, or however you pronounce it, from the inn since this is a loved item for him, and with that we reached 7 hearts with him. After that I paid a visit to Hayden's farm where I bought my first 2 alpacas. Say hello to Creighton and Ornifex. A part of me wishes that animals would stay in their baby appearances a bit longer because just look at these guys, they are so adorable. I crafted a second animal sprite statue which got placed inside the coop, then spent the evening running around town in hopes of finding that last spring insect that I was missing, and a little while later actually found it, the Luna moth. With that finished the spring insect set. The entire second year was recorded throughout multiple episodes on my channel, feel free to check out the playlist down below, and thanks to you guys leaving a whole bunch of helpful comments, I learned that I can change my mount by revisiting the statue where I acquired Mistmare from. This is an own perk tree that adds a few upgrades to your mounts, but I didn't know how expensive these were, so I had to save up some essence first. By now I managed to ship over 30 mine forageables, so I turned in the request by talking to Adeline. Then I was once again back in the mines, gathering stone and essence. At yet another Saturday market, I finished a couple of requests for the townies, purchased more crafting recipes from Mary, and while visiting Caldarus, found my very first deep woods insect. Back at the farm, I crafted a second sprinkler and started to lay out a new farming plot. I knew that I wanted to expand the path that goes from my house across the farm, which required me to place the sprinklers more to the right side. Once I had everything cleaned up, I also wanted to decorate around the new crop area a bit. I laid out more spots for future fruit trees, and in the middle of that I finally realized that I had over 200 essence points, and with those I unlocked the nice ride perk over at the horse statue. Now I can change my mount to any of my barn animals as long as I have 5 hearts with them. And once again, thank you to all of the people who watched the Let's Play and left helpful comments down below, because I would have never bothered to come back to this horse statue, let alone realize that there's an own perk for your mount. I really appreciate it. And I also appreciate you watching this right now. Currently, I only had my cows available for mounts, and I thought Rougier would fit perfectly for the occasion. There's something really magical about riding a pink cow that has a tiny crown sitting on its head. Truly one of the best perks in the game. Last thing I did today was to place down my 2 medium animal buildings right below the new path I created, and just like that, spring was already over. Summer has officially arrived in Mistria. At the request board, I had another crown request waiting for me and a new main quest. Elsie is in the mood for a bit of gossip, and so am I, of course. Before I get to that, I had more pressing matters to attend to, like dumping all of my money on fruit trees and summer crops. And of course, we cannot forget about the seasonal outfits. Seriously, this needs to be in every single farm sim. It adds so much more detail and immersion to the game. I planted a few tea leaves, tomatoes, corn, watermelon and cucumber seeds, and tested out my new sprinklers. I will never get tired of looking at this animation. I shipped off 3 berries for the crown request I accepted before, and then had a chat with Baylor, Dell, and lastly Juniper. In short, Baylor had a special delivery for Juniper, being a dozen newts, which he managed to trade from Dell, and Dell found the newts in Juniper's cauldron. Not really sure what this has to do with gossip, but Elsie was more than pleased with the story. This unlocked the so-called gossip mechanic, which allows me to talk with Elsie once per day, where she will display 3 random villagers before me, where I can either reveal one loved or a liked item for them. Once again, this is another feature I really like about this game, and I hope to see more of this in future Farmsim. I'm someone who uses the wiki all the time to check for gifts, but after I unlocked this mechanic, I barely googled any gift preferences anymore. While running around later, I spotted a firefly, which was the last insect for the summer insect set. The game was kind enough to let me know that a legendary fish was nearby on Tuesday. And what do we have here? Some chores. I'm in the middle of an important piece of spell work and need you to handle some menial errands for me. Come to my room at the bathhouse. Oh, and wear something nice. I don't want you to embarrass me in that typical getup you throw on. Quest started working like a dog. I don't like the sound of that. I handed my dear Elsie a birthday present, turned in the berry crown request, and even though I don't really like Juniper, I visited the bathhouse anyways. Upon my arrival, she immediately questioned the clothes that I was wearing and decided that I have to wear her outfit and she will have to suffer through my body while I handle the errands. Yes, you heard that correctly. Within a blink of an eye, I was transformed into Juniper's body. And I have to say, that is some serious Harry Potter shit. You're telling me this woman can just switch bodies with every single person within meager seconds? I am slightly terrified, not gonna lie. While Juniper is busy with whatever she is doing, I honestly don't want to know. I made my way towards Celine Cottage, where I handed her a growth tonic, and I have to say it was really fun walking around as Juniper and having a conversation with a few of the townies. Like, Elsie asked how Juniper's friend Sapphire is doing, and obviously I said, I'm a saint, because I am. Not like Juniper would ever say anything like that, but I thought it was funny. Elsie was the last person on the list, and once I was done with that, Juniper transformed me back into my beautiful self, and to my surprise, she did actually thank me for helping her. Please don't ever do that again, I am scarred for life. After that I was fishing by the river in town, looking for the summer legendary fish. This took up the entire rest of my day, and not until exactly 8 PM in the evening, I finally reeled it in with the last bit of energy I had left. Of course I headed over to the museum, where I donated the lightning fish. That's 2 legendary fish down, and we are already halfway done with this set. Back on the farm, I placed the wood and stone into the 2 medium animal buildings, and honestly I don't even know why I did that, because I barely used these 2 buildings over the next couple of in-game weeks. It is day 143, and you know it, I forgot to record for the day. Oh my god. Oh my god, have I not been recording the entire day?
Oh brother,
no! It wouldn't be a Guiding Pixels 100 days video without me forgetting to record for a day, would it? Allow me to show off my presentation skills in Canva. I spent the entire day in the mines, the tide area to be precise, gathering iron ore. That's it. That's all I did. And I guess I also found grapes and made grape juice. I don't know why I thought that would be interesting to anyone, but that's what I wrote down. So yeah, you really didn't miss anything. And I'm happy to announce that this is the only time where I forgot to record. I am unironically proud of that. Thursday was spent gathering wood, both on the farm as well as the deep woods. Friday was the same, just gathering wood. So let's jump over to Saturday, where I harvested my first summer crops. This allowed me to finally make some cooked dishes again, bumping up my cooking skill to level 53. At the market, I was busy with handing out gifts and doing requests. Can't forget about Caldaros, whom I gifted an infused liked egg. And by the way, I talk with Caldaros almost every single day, but obviously I'm not gonna mention this every time. So just that you know, I have my priorities straight. I've accumulated a couple of items over the past few days for the museum, and upon donating these, finished another set, rewarding me with the Explorer wallpaper, which I'm gonna use very soon. I still needed a bit more iron for the next project that I had in mind, so I was back in the Tide Caverns, where I acquired one of my favorite accessories in the entire game, the Crown of the Tide. Now, I didn't know that up until this point, but the Tide Caverns, Deep Earth and Lava section each have a unique biome outfit, which can only be found in treasure chests. So that's another thing for the to-do list, because I definitely want to collect all of these. After going to bed that day, I welcomed 2 new additions to our farm. My first silver horse, Alzana, and silver cow, Aegon. Now that I learned about the different biome outfits, I was busy in the mines again. This time, however, in the lava levels, since there's still a few forage and fish that I was missing, like this adorable sea dragon and fire sail fish. Right next to where I fished those 2 up was a treasure chest waiting for me, from which I got an obsidian storage chest. Biome storage chests are unique to the regular wooden chests, as these also have a large storage capacity, so this was a marvelous find. And not even 2 minutes later I found the obsidian storage chest crafting recipe. Very nice. I didn't find the forage that I was looking for, but at least I was able to finish the lava cave fish collection. And one of the rewards was this really cursed looking fish plushie. I don't know what I was thinking, because I even said out loud that I didn't like how it looked. But I displayed it in my house anyways, so now I have to stare at it every single time when I walk inside my room. That is so cursed. I don't know what this is supposed to be. Thanks to the numerous mine trips that I did, I had a good chunk of essence accumulated, which I used to unlock the tier 4 perk in ranching, granting me the Big Bell crafting recipe, as well as the currency of care. Now I can feed my animals cooked dishes, which will reward more shiny beads based on the dish's level. Out of curiosity, I made a couple of hard-boiled eggs and coconut milk, and both of these granted me 2 shiny beads per animal. Which in hindsight is actually pretty decent, considering that these are really easy to make, but unfortunately this is the only time that I feed my animals dishes. I immediately forgot about this perk. I haven't checked the request board in a couple of days, and I had 2 quests waiting for me, 2 peers for Errol and another crown request. Adeline wants me to ship 10 iron ingots and 5 silver ingots, which I really wasn't a fan of, because the past couple of weeks I've been grinding towards the second house upgrade, and for that I needed the iron ingots. At the smithing table I smelted any ore that I had into bars, and while doing that I maxed out my very first skill, blacksmithing of course. I crafted a gold axe, gold hoe, which got the lightweight infusion, and a gold watering can. The goal for today was to organize my chests. I was so tired of my current storage situation, since I was mostly still using regular wooden chests, which really don't have a lot of space, and space was exactly what I needed right now. I recently discovered that the stone chests now also have a large storage capacity, so I crafted as many as I could, placed them next to my house, and started to move all of my stuff. After heading to bed, we reached town level 60, and with that we are now at silver rank. The chest sorting continued the following day, where this happened. No! Oh my god, my game crashed. Yep, my game crashed, just as I was about to head to bed. Even worse, I was in the mines earlier that day, where I found the last forage that I was missing for the lava section. And yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little salty about that. And unfortunately, that's not the last time this happens, but let's just move on for now. In town I picked up the free stamina potion for reaching silver town rank, chipped off the ingots for Adeline's request, which I turned in shortly after, and once again I was looking for the lava chestnuts, and of course, didn't find them this time. I was a tad bit scared of my game crashing again, so I went straight to bed once I came back home and continued organizing the following day. Midday I was done with everything, and it looked so much nicer already. I also placed the 2 Breath of the Spring chests that I bought a while ago inside my house, because I think they match well with the interior. I had a look at the new tier 4 mining and combat perks that I unlocked before and put my points into Lost History. Now I can find ritual chambers, which are basically superior treasure floors, but more on that later. Again, I was looking for that forage from the lava section, and again I had no luck with that. But at least I had more essence after that trip and unlocked another perk, Refined Rockery. This reduces the time while using the stone refinery, which is always handy to have. While digging up a dirt spot on Thursday, I maxed out my second skill, which was in archaeology. I handed Caldaros another gift, and we are finally sitting at 8 hearts with him, which is currently the highest amount of hearts you can have with the bachelors. Today's spelunking trip was a lot more successful. I got another obsidian bed from a mimic, the first piece of the Fire Sage outfit, which was the cloak, and at last found the lava chestnuts. And with that completed every single museum set of the lava section. Caldaros sent me a letter on Friday inviting me to his temple for a meal, and I am never gonna turn down a meal invitation from a dragon. This was a #1 priority for me, so I immediately headed over to the Deep Woods. The first dish he made for me was onion soup, which I'm a huge fan of, but it seems like he left the onions whole while cooking, so that's an interesting choice for sure. But I'm not exactly Gordon Ramsay myself, so who am I to judge this man's cooking skills? The main dish he prepared was mushroom rice, and unfortunately for me, this is my absolute worst nightmare. I hate mushrooms so much. No joke, I have childhood trauma from mushroom soup, and I am physically cringing at this footage right now. Nevertheless, I am a well-behaved farmer and I am simping way too hard right now, so I braced myself and quickly chucked everything down in one go. Yikes. After this not so pleasant meal, we headed outside the temple for some much needed fresh air. I thanked him for the invitation, but before leaving, there was something important that he wanted to discuss. He tells me that he feels lonely at times, which I totally understand, being in this giant forest with no one else around besides myself at times. And whenever I come to visit him, the aching pain in his chest disappears, and instead there's a great warmth in its place. And he just doesn't know what to make of it. This man is dancing around the elephant in the room just like me when I'm fighting Vitalis. Let me spill it out for you. Romantic feelings. That's what it is right here, nicely written in pink. And just like that, we are officially dating. Never thought I'd romance a dragon, but here we are. I'm sorry, Mom. After going to bed that day, I had a very interesting message appear on screen. Date available. And I was intrigued. Right on cue, I had my dear Elsie stop by on the farm, and she immediately said that she heard me and Caldaros are dating now. This woman truly does know everything. She's here to give me a tutorial for the dating mechanic. Every Saturday and Sunday I can go on a date, but I can only go on one date per week per partner. Indeed, you can romance multiple people in this game, and I love how the developers just write it out for you like that. Currently, there are 6 different date locations available in the game, and these are unlocked by finding special items all around Mistria. Elsie was kind enough to hand me 2 locations for free, one for a Deep Woods picnic and the other for an inn meal. Now, obviously, I had to check out the Deep Woods picnic first. I mean, this is basically made for Caldaros. Every single date location has a cute little cutscene that plays, and after that you receive a photo that you can place on the walls inside the farmhouse, and a random reward. Usually it's cooked dishes. Unfortunately, the first photo that I got had this ugly dirt spot in the background that I just dug up before, but nevertheless I still hung it up inside my room. As I said before, there's 4 more date locations that I can unlock, so that's another goal for this year. Since I still needed more iron ore, I was occupied in the mines for a few in-game hours, where I found the coral storage chest crafting recipe, and before leaving unlocked the gift exchange perk. This grants me a second drop from a resting mimic chest, which is one of the best combat skills available. I should have gotten this a lot sooner. Finally, I had all of the iron ingots that I needed, as well as the stone, wood, and 50,000 tesserae for the second house upgrade. Before checking out my new room, I remembered it was Celine's birthday, so I rushed down to the beach and handed her a temple flower. She informed me about a rather strange encounter recently. She was foraging at the deep woods the other day and had a strange feeling that someone was watching her. Celine was so distracted that she almost fell into the nearby pond when suddenly the air itself wrapped around her and pulled her back, saving her from falling inside. I'm mentioning this because this genuinely took me by surprise. When I was talking with Caldaris yesterday, he actually mentioned seeing Celine in the forest. And this right here is exactly how you create interesting and dynamic NPC dialogue lines. I comforted her and said it was not a ghost, but just your friendly neighborhood dragon, so really nothing to worry about. Back at my farm, I had to remove a few furniture pieces to access the brand new room. My options for decorating were slim at the moment since my woodcrafting skill was still very low, so I was brainstorming for the rest of the day on how I want to design this place. On Monday I had a few ideas that I wanted to try out, but first I made my way into town where I accepted a new crown request for shipping wool and feathers. I bought more sugarcane seeds as well as fruit saplings, and once I planted all of those, I began crafting. While doing that, I noticed that the Shooting Star collection has a ton of different items that sell for a lot of money. Money that I definitely needed right now. I crafted exactly 15 star cushions, which granted me 4 entire levels, and by the end of the day I was sitting at level 30 in woodcrafting, unlocking the next tier of perks for me. All of the tier 3 perks are super handy, so that's what I'm gonna spend my essence on next. I was more than happy with the amount of money I made today, and that's when I finally started to appreciate woodcrafting and realized how profitable some of these recipes actually are. I handed Josephine a birthday tea, bought a few furniture pieces from the inn, traded over 100 shiny beads at the chicken statue where I got very lucky and received 12 golden milk, and then I spent the rest of the day and also tomorrow in the mines. I wrote down in my notes that I needed basically every single ore in the game except for gold for some reason, but for the life of me I couldn't tell you why. I probably had something on my mind, but I don't remember what. I maxed out my mining skill, and shortly after I found the Robe of the Waves in a golden treasure chest, and I am looking absolutely fabulous in this new attire. On Wednesday I got my hands on a very special item. This rough gemstone unlocked a gem cutting date, and after my trip I crafted one big bell, which I placed in between the coop and barn. With that I can let all of my animals outside and call them back inside at once, which is a very useful tool indeed. I put all of my essence into the steady supply perk. Now I can buy sod, peat and cattail fluff at the carpenter, turned in another crown request, and while at the mill, I made 1 golden butter out of the golden milk I got earlier. This allowed me to finish a request for Nora, which she posted ages ago. I gifted Hayden a stone horse, and once again I was back in the mines later that day. Yep, there are a lot of mine trips in this video. This time I was in the lava section in hopes of getting more biome furniture pieces. I did get another obsidian storage chest, but more importantly obtained the Fire Sage robe, which I like very much. Before heading into town on Friday, I unlocked the last tier 3 perk for woodcrafting, and then I was busy with handing out gifts. Another stone horse statue for Hayden, roasted rice tea for Celine, coffee for Adeline, 1 piece of hardwood for Reese, and by the way, I'm still unsure on how to pronounce this man's name. I've been saying Rice ever since I started playing last year, but I had people tell me that Reese is also an option, so if I keep switching between those 2 names, then you know why. My last gift for today was for Valen, and that's when I finally noticed that she actually has a shop inside the clinic. Most of these potions are either buffs, healing, or stamina drinks, which is nice and all, but I never ended up buying anything from here. I had 2 letters to read upon walking outside my house on 160. One from March, who told me to stop by if I wanted some part-time work, and one from Hayden, who invited me for a meal. At yet another Saturday market, I gifted Ayland a birthday present, purchased more crafting recipes from Mary, and then stopped by the blacksmith. Ulrich and March were discussing their schedule for today, and since they had so many orders to fulfill, they asked if I could help them out for the day. Just as we were about to start, Adeline came to visit, as she had very exciting news to share with us. Her mother was awarded with the Shield of the Realm award, and she wants the shield to be made here in Mistria. In order to make it in time for the reward ceremony, the shield has to be done by today. I told her not to worry about anything, we're gonna get that shield done in no time flat. Adeline offered to walk around town and let everyone else know that their orders will be delayed, which I find hilarious by the way. There's like 10 people in Mistria and they all just happen to place an order on the very same day. Once she left, March and I started to work on the shield right away. I had a bit of trouble holding the piece as he was trying to engrave the details, but eventually it was done. Adeline thanked us for her quick work, Ulrich thanked me for helping them for today, and March also kind of thanked me, I guess. I was super tired after all of this blacksmithing work, so I decided to stop by Hayden's place for a much needed meal. The vegetable quiche he prepared was absolutely delicious. Every single time when I play this game I get hungry, or repulsed, depending on what the townies cook up for me. A very nice little detail about this cutscene is that it's just me and Hayden. Usually his chicken Henrietta is there with him, but she's currently busy playing with the kids. After we finished the quiche, Hayden asked if I wanted to take a walk down by the beach, and this strongly reminded me of the cutscene that I had with Caldaros the other day. This is indeed his 8-heart event, which I kinda forgot about. Now if you watched my other video, then you know I was obsessed with Hayden in year 1. I was fully convinced that I would end up romancing this guy, but ever since year 2, I've been a little distracted. As I said before, you can romance multiple people, but I decided to just stick with Caldaros for now. After friendzoning Hayden, I took a dip inside the ocean where I found a criminal confession. Not really sure how to feel about that, but I donated it to the museum, finishing the sunken artifact set. I wanted to check out the new flooring that I got as a reward, and while walking inside my house, reached level 60 in ranching. Not really sure why, but I did, and I'm not gonna complain about that. On Sunday I had the opportunity to go on another date with Caldaros, and this is where I learned that he cannot leave the deep woods, or in other words, he's not strong enough to do so. If we go back all the way to year 1 when we first meet him inside the stone statue, he tells us to collect essence and unlock more skills so that he can regain more of his strength. Caldaros suffered from a severe memory loss, and I am convinced that this is connected to the Dragon Priestess, but anyways. In the current version of the game, he will never leave this area. He's either inside the temple or right outside tending to his garden. And this of course also counts for dates. So for example, the gem cutting state I selected was held on this giant stump in the woods. I do still get a photo for that, so I can't really complain. I spent the rest of the day in the forest looking for any new critters and fish, and I was incredibly lucky and found a singing katydid. Now apparently this is a really rare insect that a lot of people have trouble with finding, so I was more than happy about that. Monday to Thursday was spent almost entirely in the mines. I found so many different furniture items and accessories, but more importantly, my very first ritual chamber. These have a very small chance of appearing, just like the treasure rooms, but they are a bit more special. The giant dragon chest in the middle can drop an artifact, and even better, there's also a unique outfit that I can acquire from these, the Dragon Cleric set. Every single day when I came back home to my farm, I used the stone that I gathered to make these ornamental gem rocks, as they are somewhat easy to make, give a good amount of woodcrafting XP, and a lot of money. On Friday I was at the mill, all day. For unknown reasons I had an absurd amount of duck eggs, and decided to make 40 pieces of duck mayo. How does one make duck mayo at a mill, and why did I make so much in the first place? No idea, and I also never ended up using any of them. Adeline sent me a very intriguing letter the next day, and I knew exactly what this was about. Together with Nora we met up at the general store and discussed the next big project for Mistria. The Eldarian Merchants Guild is impressed with our Saturday market and how big our town rank has risen. In fact, they are considering adding Mistria to the weekly travel route of 2 of their top tier vendors. First person in question was Taliferro. a royal chef known for his cooking challenges, and a man by the name of Weedle, who specializes in high-end goods, which sounds right up my alley. Unlike all of the other town projects so far, this time I don't need to pitch in any money. However, the Merchants Guild sent a very long list with rather unusual materials. I need to gather 8 gold ingots, 20 obsidian and crystals, 100 hardwood and 50 refined stone. I haven't done a town project in a hot minute, so I was genuinely excited about this. Before checking my materials, I stopped by the manor because I had a new heart event to watch. Alan sent that letter at the beginning of the week, and only today I remembered about it. My guy has been standing inside the manor waiting for me to show up for 4 days straight. I'm so sorry, Alan. Luckily, he was still happy to see me when I finally did show up. Alan is on the hunt for the so-called Dragonsworn armor, and he's convinced that the next piece is here, located in the very same building. He made a thorough investigation of his office, but hadn't had any luck so far. We asked Adeline and Elsie to check their rooms as well, and while Alan and myself were searching Adeline's office, Elsie suddenly came back with the desired item we were looking for, the Dragonsworn cloak. Turns out that it was stored in one of her many wardrobes that she just couldn't be bothered with cleaning out before she moved in, and with that we acquired the third piece of the armor. Another nice little detail about this, you can actually see the armor displayed at the museum. While running around, I came across this weird looking purple cloud on the floor. This is thanks to the tier 5 perk that I acquired earlier in archaeology, where a mist cloud like this will appear daily on a random spot around Mistria. And in exchange for a little essence, it will reward me with an artifact. Once again, these are part of an own set. Now that I was back on the farm, I had a look at the material list for the Saturday market upgrade. Surprisingly, I already had most of the things that I needed, except for the refined stone. Since I was eager to see the new vendors, I headed over to the stone refinery, crafted another 35 pieces of refined stone, and donated everything to the box outside of the manor. Adeline was so surprised that I already collected all of the desired materials, and she said everything should be set up for the next week's market. Fall was right around the corner, so in preparation for the next season, I crafted another 2 sprinklers, placed them down next to the other ones, and of course decorated around the new fields for a bit. The very last day of summer was a special one. Today is the Shooting Star Festival, and again, if you watched my other video, you know I spent the last Shooting Star Festival alone. You need a minimum of 4 hearts with any of the bachelors or bachelorettes in order to invite them, and I was just one single gift away from reaching 4 hearts with Celine. And what's even worse, I learned a few days after recording this that you can actually watch the show together with Caldarus while he's still inside the statue on your farm. I just wanted to mention this quickly because I don't think there's a lot of people who know about this. Elsie stopped by my house to hand me the star brooch. Thank you very much. This time I can actually use this item. I didn't really do much during the day. I got my very first golden egg from the chickens and just smooched around the farm for a little bit. Of course I asked Caldarus if he wants to join me for the event. He did indeed accept the brooch, and after 8 PM we met at the summit. Now, I didn't realize at the time when I was recording this, but during the meteor shower there's an own theme playing in the background, and it is an absolute banger. Seriously, the music in this game is so good. Caldarus was happy to see that so many people still continue to participate in this yearly event. He explained that long ago Mistrians referred to this tradition as starbinding, which is quite interesting because when Elsie visited me earlier, she did also mention that this festival brings people closer to each other. Caldarus was wondering if perhaps in another life, before he lost his memory, we already witnessed this event together. And I answered with, I'd like to think that we have. Maybe I was a dragon myself in a different life. Maybe I was Fatalis all along, before I decided to finally settle down and stop terrorizing people. Who knows? All that matters now is the present time. Caldarus was slowly starting to feel fatigued, and you might have noticed it by now, this is the only occasion where he will leave the deep woods to watch the event with the player. Very nice detail. I was worried about him, so I said, let's go back, it's freezing cold out here anyways. so we watched the rest of the stars through the canopy inside the temple, and with that, summer came to an end. My favorite season is finally here. We have cozy fall colors outside and also a lot of cranky animals. I forgot that after the Shooting Star Festival, the day automatically ends, so I didn't get a chance to put them back inside again. Sorry guys! Fall in Mistria is one of the best, if not the best season for farming. I dumped almost half of my money on seeds and more fruit trees. And while planting the wheat, I reached level 45 in farming, which unlocked the tier 4 perks. I remembered it was Valen's birthday, so I handed her a gift, and a little while later we have 4 entire fields with mostly regrowable crops. Planting the seeds and fruit trees took up longer than I thought it would, so once I was done with everything, it was already nighttime. On my way to the museum I found another mist cloud, which gave me a new artifact to donate, and that marks the end of a very successful first day of fall. I accepted another crown request yesterday where Adeline wants me to ship 250 stone, and since I had more than enough of that anyways, I took care of that right away. I don't know how Baylor is gonna transport the stone out of my chest. I don't think that he has a cart horse, because this has to be insanely heavy. After taking care of my animals, I headed into town where I finally made a golden net. I've been carrying around the worn net ever since Luke gave it to me all the way back in year 1. And if you don't know, that bug net is the only tool that doesn't gain anything from upgrading it, or rather making a new one. It just looks a bit better. The goal for this in-game week was to work on the second room that I have. I haven't shown this before simply because I wasn't done yet, and I needed to work on my woodcrafting skill anyways, so after a very long crafting session, I was more than pleased with the finished result. Now I have my own little library. On this rainy Wednesday morning, I turned in the crown request for shipping the stones, hung around the Deepwoods for a little while, where I reeled in a Sunny, finishing the Deepwoods fish collection. This rewarded me with an octopus plushie, and I was obsessed. This little guy is so adorable, I love him. On my way back to the farm, I dug up an Alda gem bracelet, completing the Alda artifact set, and 5 minutes later found the statue of Caldaros. So I went back to the museum for a third time, completing yet another set. I placed all of the new decorations that I got inside the room, and now I was officially done with decorating in here. 172 to 173 were spent in the mines. I found a ritual room where I got a new artifact and a dragon cleric diadem, which I swapped out with the crown of the tide. After this trip, I managed to reach level 45 in woodcrafting, which unlocked the tier 4 perks in that skill. All of these are really useful to have, but I decided to put my essence into the ornamental perk in farming, since this allows me to collect a furniture recipe from a forage or a crop that I collect, and this sounded more interesting to me. On Friday, my game crashed, again, but I wasn't too mad about it because I found another ritual room, which I didn't find on the day it crashed. And thankfully this was the last time my game crashed. Also, I maxed out my combat skill that day. The Saturday market was back in town and I finally got to meet our new vendors. To the right side of the manor we have Weedle, and as Adeline mentioned before, this guy sells a whole bunch of different goods and they are very expensive. There's accessories, oils to infuse your weapon with, absurdly overpriced bath soap, this item is gonna be important later, and new storage chests. To the left we have Taliferro, the royal chef, and unlike all of the other vendors, he doesn't actually have any wares for sale. Taliferro has weekly cooking challenges, and upon completing these, you get a lot of renown and a furniture piece. The first challenge he posted was for a rice ball, and luckily for me, I had just enough ingredients to make one. He was rather unimpressed with my cooking skills, said it was, and I quote, acceptable, and that even a beginner can make something like that. I mean, you're the one who posted the request, so I'm not really sure what you're trying to say here. But regardless, he handed me the reward, which was a stock pot and the crafting recipe for one. I decided to purchase 2 deluxe storage chests from Weedle, as these have an extra large storage capacity and they also look a lot nicer than the stone ones I've been using. I had Reina outside my house on yet another rainy morning, informing me about the upcoming event. The Harvest Festival is one of the many new additions from the newest update, and I was beyond excited about this. I can help make the event even better by collecting so-called queen berries. It's basically the same as the Breath of the Spring flowers. Before going on the hunt for berries, I went to visit Caldaros, and I was amazed by the fact that the star brooch I gave to him before the Shooting Star Festival was resting on top of his bedside counter. It's the little details like that that truly make me appreciate a game. I was here to go on another date with him. This time I chose the one for the inn meal, but as we all know by now, Caldaros can't leave the area. So instead he invited me to have lunch at his temple. Unfortunately for all of us, that's not the last time that I'll forget about this. After our date, I spent the rest of my time down in the mines gathering berries, which continued the following day. During that, I did also end up catching the fall legendary fish, and Tuesday was basically the same. Throughout these 3 days, I managed to gather a total amount of 118 queen berries. I might have gotten a little carried away, but I really wanted to win this event. And thankfully, my grinding paid off in the end. Nora was announcing the winners for this year's Harvest Festival, and I did indeed end up in first place. My rewards for this was 2 harvest centerpieces, a festival arch, and a shiny gold trophy. At the souvenir stall, I purchased 2 new cooking recipes, 2 autumn scarecrows, a cornucopia, a berry crown, and a berry dress. Hayden has a little pumpkin patch where you can buy an infinite amount of decorative pumpkins. I think at least it's unlimited because I bought a lot of pumpkins. What is somewhat unique to this event is that you can ask one of the townies to dance with you. Now, as you might have noticed, someone is missing here. Caldaros is of course not attending the festivals in the current version, and I really hope once they update the game again, he can join in on all of the different activities around town, because I'm feeling a little bit lonely here. I was curious and decided to pay him a visit, and I was so glad that I thought about this because yes, I was actually allowed to dance with him. Again, I know I sound like a broken record or as if I'm being paid to say this, which I'm not of course. Being able to dance with Caldaros despite him not attending the festival is such a nice detail. I guess the developers knew that he would be a popular bachelor and thought about this beforehand. And by the way, NPC Studios, feel free to reach out to me, I'd love a sponsor. And this gave me flashbacks to the flower dance in Stardew as I record without in-game music on, and this was a little awkward to watch. But also incredibly cute, of course. After our silent dance, Caldaros congratulated me on winning at the berry contest, and once I was back at the farm, I had a look at the new decorations I got from the event. I placed the scarecrows next to my fields, same with the festival arch, and the trophy and cornucopia inside the library. Thursday was spent focusing on getting requests done. At this point in the game, I was very close of reaching town rank Emerald, and this is the minimum requirement to start the greenhouse quest. I shipped off some items for yet another crown request, handed Dell an acorn because I guess she couldn't be bothered to go and pick one up herself, 1 garlic for Reina in exchange for a garlic bread recipe, rice and chestnuts for Hemlock, and 6 blackberries for Elsie. While riding around later, I found a misty black mirror, which was the last item for the Mist artifact collection. By the end of the day, I did indeed manage to level up my town rank, which prompted Adeline to send me 2 letters the next day, one where she congratulated me on reaching Emerald rank, and the other about a new project she wants to start. Starting the next main quest, upgrading the carpenter shop. I collected my free stamina potion next to the request board and then immediately headed over there, where Reese, Landon and Adeline were waiting for me. As the quest name already hinted on, Reese and Landon want to expand their shop. With a larger and more advanced workshop, they could take on new special orders, like additional house upgrade, and of course, greenhouse blueprints, which is exactly what I am after. Adeline was kind enough to let me know that she will be covering for the tessery costs, but of course the material list is all up to me. I told them that they can count on me. I've been waiting for this for so long, and I was excited to work on a new town project again. Despite me saying that, I won't actually tackle this for a few in-game days, because I had something else on my mind for quite a while now that I needed the materials for first. What is this tournament that I'm watching here? What are you guys doing? I spent the remainder of the day crafting some of the faux plant recipes that I acquired over the past few days, because again, thanks to you guys, I learned that these sell for an absurd amount of money and they also give a nice chunk of XP. Upon visiting the Saturday market, Taliaferro had a new cooking challenge prepared for me. This time it was for a crystal berry pie. This recipe didn't sound familiar at all, and when checking my cooking list, I confirmed that I didn't have this unlocked yet. Turns out all I had to do was to ship a crystal berry, and while at it, I shipped off a few other mine forageables as well. You can get new recipes from shipping crops and forage, and I haven't done that since I played last year. I kinda forgot about this. The project I've been saving up over the past couple of in-game days was for the 3rd home upgrade. And since I didn't need to pitch in any money for the carpenter shop, I had more than enough to afford that. Just as the 2nd home upgrade, this adds a new room to the right side of the house, and I knew exactly how I wanted to decorate in here. Well, sort of. Thanks to all of the numerous mine trips I did up until now, I had so many different obsidian furniture pieces, and I really wanted to implement these in the new room. The rest of the day was me figuring out what wallpaper and flooring I wanted to use in here. And on Sunday I had a whole bunch of new cooking recipes in my mailbox. One of which was for the crystal berry pie. Sadly, I will have to wait another week until I can actually hand it over to Taliaferro. On my way to the mill, I ran into Adeline, who asked if I wanted to help her do a few home inspections around Mistria. I was still in the middle of decorating, but I didn't want it to be rude either, so I told her I was ready to go. First stop was the general store, then Valen's clinic, the carpenter, the dig site, I don't know how this counts as a home inspection, but okay, and lastly Terithia's shack down by the beach. After this we were both pretty tired, and she invited me for a meal over at the Sleeping Dragon Inn. Thankfully the hard events don't actually take up any in-game time, so I still had a whole day left to craft more items. In fact, I crafted so many different pieces that I ended up maxing out my wood crafting skill. And let's just skip over to Wednesday, where I was finally done with decorating. Yep, this took over 4 in-game days and about 2 real-life hours. But it was worth it. I was incredibly happy with the end results. After admiring my new room, I purchased a few more animal accessories from Hayden's shop, can never have too many of those. In town I accepted a crown request where I had to ship 5 copper tools, and since I spent a lot of my materials on decorating recently, I decided to hang around the mines for the next couple of days, specifically looking for that copper and also for glass, since I needed that for the carpenter upgrade. Which brings us to day 188. I turned in the request for shipping the copper tools, gave Louis a birthday present, Luke got a copper nugget beetle, and Taliaferro tested my crystal berry pie. He said it was decent, so I'll take that as a win, and in return he handed me a hanging pan crafting recipe. To be able to accept the next cooking challenge, I will have to wait another week again. Over at Weedle's stall I purchased 2 more deluxe storage chests, which I swapped out with the stone ones on the farm. Later in the evening I made the required refined stone for the carpenter upgrade and dropped off the materials inside the box. 100 pieces of refined stone, 30 obsidian, crystals, and basically all of the glass that I had. Thankfully you can also buy glass at the shop because I was really tired of farming by now. I informed Adeline that I was done with the material list, and together with Reese and Landon we got to work. The building got extended a tiny bit and it also looks more spacious inside now. After we were done, Reese handed me a blueprint for a small white greenhouse as a thanks. Just like the barn and coop, these blueprints need to be placed on the farm first, and then you can build them yourself with the necessary materials. Currently there are 4 different greenhouse blueprints available. 2 smaller ones for 50,000 each, and the big ones are 100,000. Very expensive items indeed, so I was really happy that Reese handed me one for free. The 21st of fall was a glorious day as it was my birthday. I had a whole bunch of happy birthday letters in my mailbox along with some cute gifts attached to them. I removed any debris and grass under the crop farms and placed down my brand new greenhouse. Both of the small greenhouses have space for exactly 25 crops, or 24 if you put a sprinkler in here. Out of curiosity, I ended up googling what the wooden version looked like, but I couldn't find a single picture online, at the time of recording this at least. Not on the wiki, not on Twitter, and not even on the subreddit. I guess most people stick with the white building since Reese gives you one for free, but I had a feeling that I would enjoy the wooden blueprint a lot more, so I left the greenhouse untouched for now. I spent the evening running in and out of the Deep Woods area, where after a bit of time found a moat firefly. With that, completed the Deep Woods insect collection. If I wanted to buy a small wooden greenhouse, I needed a lot more money for that, so I spent the entirety of Monday cooking and crafting as many items as I could. This granted me over 30,000 tesserae, which I believe is the most amount of money I ever made in a single day. And because I shipped so many different items, gained 2 whole town ranks as well. I rushed over to the carpenter the next day, bought that small wooden greenhouse blueprint, and upon placing it down, I immediately liked that one more. So I removed the white one and shoved it inside one of my chests. Some of you may think this was a waste of money, but if I have the option to pick between 2 different colored greenhouses, then of course I want to have the one that looks better to me. I ended up planting wheat and rice inside the building, as these are regrowable crops and both of these are used in a lot of cooking recipes. The remainder of the day was spent crafting and of course decorating the greenhouse as best as I could, and I think it turned out pretty cute. On Wednesday I accepted a crown request where I had to ship 5 golden mayo and cheese. The cheese I already had, but with the mayo I will have to wait a bit, as golden eggs are a rare drop from chickens who have at least 8 hearts. There's also a small chance of getting golden eggs from the chicken statue, but I didn't have any luck with that today. I didn't really know what else to do later, so I fished down by the beach, where I found another date location. Lovely seashell. This cute pink shell fills you with inspiration. Unlock for beach date? Oh, I was just doing some fishing down here because I didn't know what else to do. Yes! Now I can invite Caldaros on a beach date, or so I thought at least. Caldaros does indeed have a beach outfit, but it's actually not for the beach. You'll see in a bit what I mean by that. Right after that I caught the tuna I've been looking for a while now, and with that made 1 portion of tuna sashimi. I've been checking the dig spots down by the beach almost every day since there was still an artifact that I was missing, and on Thursday I finally found it, a tiny dinosaur skeleton. I donated it along with the meteorite I found a few days prior, and with that finished the prehistoric artifact set. I finally handed Tarithia the tuna sashimi she requested weeks ago, also 1 salmon and horseradish, and other than me running around with Rogier, I didn't really do anything else that day. Friday was another uneventful mine trip, which brings us to the Saturday market. This week's cooking challenge was for a crispy fried earth shroom. I was delighted to see that Taliaferro shared the whereabouts of this recipe with me, because again, I didn't have this unlocked yet. Turns out, this recipe can be found in a treasure chest in the Tide Caverns. Since it was the weekend, I wanted to go on another date with Caldaros, and I was also eager to see the new location I unlocked, but I completely forgot he cannot leave the area. A walk on the beach? Well, that does sound nice. I'm afraid that I cannot stray so far from... No! I forgot that he cannot leave the deep woods. So instead we settled on a walk down by the waterfall. Thanks to Taliaferro, I now know where to find the earth shroom recipe, so I was back in the mines for the remaining day as well as on Sunday. I needed the essence to craft more essence stones anyways, and apparently there was still a whole lot of furniture recipes that I was missing from this section. I was super lucky and got the cooked dish from a mimic chest, so I didn't even have to make it myself, and a bit later also found the actual recipe. This was the last day of fall and I was already so excited for winter because I prepared a list in advance with things that I wanted to do. I had a lot of plans for the last in-game season, let me tell you. I had 4 major goals for winter. First I wanted to get my hands on the last house upgrade. Decorating is one of my favorite things to do in this game, and I most certainly wanted to have a fully decorated house by the end of this year. Second, I either wanted to have the farm expansion or a second greenhouse, as well as to upgrade the medium animal buildings to large ones. I didn't show this before, but I did end up moving a few of my animals into the medium buildings, but I've been ignoring them ever since summer. And as I said before, you can only place the animal statues inside the large buildings, because having to pet over 30 animals every single day is kind of tedious, not gonna lie. And for the last goal on the list, there was a very specific item that I wanted to get my hands on. I didn't want it to spoil too much right away, but if you paid attention earlier, then you can probably guess what I'm talking about. So yeah, that was my list for winter. I knew beforehand that realistically I probably wouldn't achieve all of that, but I just wanted to have a few goals to keep me occupied during the season, because the carpenter upgrade was the last main quest available right now. At the general store I purchased the new winter seeds and saplings, mostly snow peas, since this is the only regrowable crop for this time of the year. And since I was determined to buy the house upgrade this in-game week, I used the growth spell on one of the snow peas field, allowing me to already harvest them on the same day. From this I got the snow peas crafting recipe and immediately turned my harvest into ornamental plants and shipped those off. Checking my materials the next day, I saw that I needed a lot more refined stone for the upgrade, so I was back in the mines gathering materials until Friday. By then I had all the refined stone, gold bars, hardwood and tesserae that I needed. I turned in yet another crown request for shipping baked meals, reached 6 hearts with Reese upon handing him a piece of hardwood, and then purchased myself the 4th home upgrade. By far the most expensive house upgrade, but this is also the biggest expansion you can get. Not only do you gain access to your now 2nd floor, but you get not 1, not 2, but 3 entire new rooms. Definitely worth the money in my opinion. I started with the western wing first, and I had a few of the fisherman set pieces stored up in my chests, which I definitely wanted to use in here. While handing Weedle a birthday present the next day, I noticed that he had a new item in stock, a teleportation circle. As the name suggests, this teleports you to your house's 2nd floor, and I was reluctant to buy this at first since it was quite pricey and I just spent the majority of my money on that house upgrade, but I really didn't like how the stairs or the ladder looked inside my house, so I decided to purchase it after all, and I was really glad I did. Now, let me see this. Okay, it's very tiny, I like that. And yeah, I mean, it just looks like a rug. Yeah, I like that. That looks so much better than these bulky stairs. I gave Taliaferro the crispy fried earth shroom, went on a park bench date with Caldaros, thanks to the new item I dug up recently, and then visited Reese at the carpenter shop to finally build that birdhouse for the hawthorn tree we planted exactly a year ago. On 203, I had Adeline stop by in the morning to let me know about the upcoming Animal Festival. I wanted to tell you about Mistria's upcoming Animal Festival. It's a festival to celebrate livestock in all their forms. Please don't tell me I have to collect a million things of a special item again that only blooms during this time of the year. Thankfully, I did not have to collect Breath of the Spring nor Queenberries this time. She was just here to remind me about the event and what awaits me there. I'll talk more about this in a second. I handed Henrietta a birthday gift, traded in my shiny beads at the statue, then I was busy again with decorating. Monday to Tuesday was basically the same, just working on the new room and crafting a whole bunch of different furniture pieces. I collected the last golden egg that I was missing for that crown request I accepted a while ago, so I made the 5 gold mayo at the mill and shipped those off. Wednesday was the day of the Animal Festival, and just like with any other event, I was incredibly excited about this, because I remember from the first in-game year, Hayden actually had a few dialogue lines about this, but back then it wasn't implemented yet. First I had to check out the souvenir stall where I purchased the golden cookies and cheesecake recipe, and basically every single animal accessory that was available to me. I need all of those. You ready for the competition, Seth? I've been taking Rocky through his paces. He can sit, stay, you name it. What, you have like an actual pet rock in there? we're all rooting for your pet rock already. Yeah, he really has a pet rock. I mean, obviously he does. Right, Seth? Of course. Go Rocky. You guys! I'm gonna say it until eternity. I'm so mad that you cannot romance Ulrich. The main focus of this event is the animal competition. You can select one of your coop animals and one barn animal to compete against the other entries. The key to this is to choose an animal that has a lot of hearts and a rare color rarity. For the large animals, I decided to select my purple horse Mistmare, and for the small ones, I ended up with my chicken Melina. I was somewhat nervous about the judging because I knew I had stiff competition with Hayden's chicken Henrietta, but thanks to having almost full hearts with Melina, I actually won the small animal bracket. For the barn animals, I only came in second place, but I was still proud of that considering it was my first time participating. For this I was rewarded with a few animal accessories, a blue chicken wall ribbon, silver horse trophy, and so many plushies. Of course I gave both Mistmare and Melina the brand new ribbons that I acquired, they earned them after all, and I placed the new decorations inside my house. On Friday I was done with the western wing upstairs, and this is my favorite room I made so far. I love the vibrant blue from the fishing furniture set. I decided to remodel the main room downstairs as well, since I didn't really like how that one looked anymore. And by the way, I don't take any credit for the layout in here. I stole the design from a Twitter post that the devs posted a while ago, so I hope they don't mind. I was happy with the room designs I had so far and decided to tackle my next goal, which was to buy a second large coop and barn. Up until this point, I haven't really talked about my animals too much, simply because that was kind of like the main focus in the first video that I uploaded. I did a lot of animal breeding during the first in-game year and I didn't want this to be the same. Ever since I started playing again, I left pretty much every animal both in the coop and barn untouched to try and raise my friendship level with them as much as possible, since, as I said before, animals that have at least 8 hearts have a chance of producing golden animal products. However, if I get a second coop and barn, I can focus on animal breeding again in the 2 other buildings, and that's exactly what I ended up doing. I bought another large coop and barn, placed them down, and just had enough wood and stone left to build both of them. As I was collecting my daikon radish the following day, I maxed out my farming skill. This week's cooking challenge was for a chocolate cake, and luckily I already had the recipe for that. I did have to buy the chocolate from the general store, but the rest of the ingredients I had. I made one for Taliaferro and he gave me a garlic bread wall piece as a reward. On Sunday I spent the entire morning moving my animals from Hayden's daycare into the new buildings. I ended up buying a second blue rabbit, purple sheep, duck, chickens, and 1 white capybara. On 211, I collected my very first golden duck egg, and then I started transforming the eastern wing into a bathroom. Most of the bathroom furniture pieces were relatively easy to make, needing only a bit of hardwood each, which I had plenty of, so I didn't even need to waste my time collecting materials for this. Tuesday I was done with that, just a regular cute bathroom, and last on the list was the middle section upstairs. I know there's a lot of decorating going on recently, but I promise this is the last time I'll mention it, because as I said before, I was completely out of materials by now, for real this time. So my options for beautifying the room were slim. I ended up placing furniture items that I've been hoarding in my chests, and it's not gonna get any better than that, I'll tell you that much. So let's just ignore this for now and pretend like this room doesn't exist. On Thursday I said hello to my first golden horse, everyone say hello to Ed, gave Adeline a cup of coffee for her big day, finished another crown request while there, then rode down to the beach where not too long after caught the last legendary fish, and with that finished the entire fish wing of the museum. The rest of the day as well as Friday was spent in the mines to gather stone and essence, which brings us to yet another Saturday market. During the last couple of days I managed to reach 8 hearts with Celine, which prompted her to send me a letter asking if I wanted to join her for a picnic. Today's cooking challenge was for a Tide salad. I whipped one up right away and handed it to Taliaferro for testing. This is as close as I got with him complimenting my cooking skills, as he said it was passable, so I'll take that as a win, and once again he rewarded me with another wall deco piece. After a lot of socializing by the market, I wanted to wind down for a bit and stopped by Celine's cottage to start our picnic. As expected, it was rather chilly up at the summit, but the view was definitely worth it. While donating another artifact to a museum, I realized that there was still one insect that I haven't found for the winter collection. So after a smaller cooking session, I ran in and out of Sweetwater Farm, shaking the trees on my way, where after some time found the crystal caterpillar. Upon finishing the winter insect collection, I was rewarded with a firefly wall string lights, which I hung up inside the bathroom, and now this room was fully decorated as well. Waking up on Monday morning, it finally dawned on me that I had been maxed out in farming for a while now, and with that unlocked the tier 5 perk, Earthly Essence. I didn't have enough essence right now to actually unlock that, so I decided to go back into the mines for the next 2 in-game days, but also to work towards the farm expansion. But spoilers, I didn't end up buying that after all. I had too little money for that. And you might be wondering, Sav, you have more than enough money on you. What are you talking about? Well, you're gonna find out very soon. Besides the money, I also didn't gather enough stone, and in general, these 2 mine trips were a total waste of time because I was mainly in the Tide Caverns looking for a perfect sapphire, which I didn't find, of course. I wanted to complete the Gems of Mistria collection, but I didn't see that I was also missing an item called Perfect Pink Diamond, which is currently unavailable. I mean, it says on the wiki that apparently you have a chance of getting this by going on a gem cutting date, but I had no luck with that. So let's jump ahead to Wednesday, where I unlocked the tier 5 perk in farming. Now I have a chance of obtaining a magic seed, and 5 seconds later I already got my first one while harvesting the snow peas. I sacrificed 1 cauliflower and planted it, shipped off a few items for 2 more crown requests, and I know I said I wouldn't mention this anymore, but I didn't know what else to do, so I was busy with decorating outside the farm until Friday. At this point, I was still trying to get more money for the farm expansion, making as many cooked dishes and furniture pieces as I could, but alas, it wasn't enough. Oh well. On a more positive note, I had 2 new animals to welcome overnight. Another golden horse and my first silver sheep. Alrighty, so the day is finally here. It is the last Saturday market before the season changes, or rather, the year is over, I mean. And as you can see, I have a buttload of money accumulated. Now, I did not get the 40,000 that I wanted for the farm expansion, so it is what it is. I don't really care about that. However, I have more than enough money for the item that I've been wanting so badly for all this time. You're probably thinking, Sav, with over 100,000 gold, surely you're gonna get a large greenhouse, right? Right? I have something way better in mind, let me tell you. Now, the item I've been hyping up for so long was none other than Weedle's bath soap. Well, I hope it's not his bath soap, but the one he's selling. This absurdly overpriced item has been sitting on the back of my mind ever since I saw it for the first time, and I knew I had to get it at some point. This unlocks a bathhouse date, and as we know, Caldaros cannot leave the forest area, but he had a great alternative for that. With his dragon breath, he heated up one of the springs around the temple, and with that, I obtained the last date photo I was missing. Was this worth 100,000 tesserae? Yeah, absolutely, you cannot change my mind for even a second. I displayed the photo inside the library, and while I was in the mood of buying expensive items, I ended up dumping the rest of my money on 2 more deluxe storage chests. And just like that, it was Sunday. I took care of my last winter harvest, used the growth spell on the mystery seed, and upon plucking it from the ground, obtained a cauliflower backpack. Not exactly what I was expecting, but I'm never gonna say no to more accessories. I was incredibly pleased with the progress that I made this year. I accomplished most of the goals that I set myself throughout the seasons. The greenhouse, another large coop and barn, the date locations, and of course the house upgrades. I did end up finding most of the set pieces for the different mine outfits as well. The Tide Caverns, Deep Earth, Lava Section, and Ritual set. Except for the shoes. I don't know if some of them just don't have any footwear, but yeah, other than that, I found every other piece. If we take a look at the museum collection, I managed to complete the entire fishing and also forage collection. As I said before, the artifact wing is currently not possible to 100%, and the insect wing I didn't really care about, if I'm being honest. Hunting for legendary bugs sounds incredibly boring and tedious, so I'll tackle that next year. I maxed out almost every skill except for fishing, and I really hope they're gonna add like a fish farm or a pond in the next update, because I see a lot of people have the same issue like me, where they end up having every single skill maxed out except for fishing. So either a fish farm or in general just a buff to the fishing XP you get would go a long way. But I think my biggest accomplishment during this year, aside from romancing a dragon, is my house design. I know I'm patting myself on the shoulder here, but I spent so much time and effort and materials on every room, and I just love how each of them turned out. Except for the upper middle one. We don't talk about that. If you're still here, thank you so much for watching and sticking around until the very end. I appreciate it. I definitely plan on doing more regular Let's Plays on the channel and then slowly transform these episodes into a giant 100 days video. It's a lot easier that way. And it was also very relaxing to slowly play through the game and interact with you guys in the comments down below. Like I said, there's a lot of things in Fields of Mistria that I would have never figured out by myself, if you guys didn't tell me about them. If you have any other games that you'd like to see next, or that would fit a 100 days kind of video, then feel free to leave a comment down below. I read every single one and usually also reply to most of them. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. God, I cannot even look at that. This room is so ugly. Holy Christ. I don't know what I was thinking while doing that.